Everybody, Chris and Lumen here, and we got all sorts of fun stuff to talk about. I had all sorts of notes. I might go into some of them about everything that I'm seeing, but I think it would be better to just recount the conversation I had with Lumen here for the last 30 minutes or so that started when I was getting ready to shoot this video, because it's a real perspective changer as far as like this big thing that's going to happen. Because I've been told, in the last couple videos, when I'm trying to speculate and all this stuff about, is it just me or whatever? Well, she kind of straightened that out a little bit. And the way that she put it really, like I said, it really changes your perspective on the whole thing. And should get you kind of excited, actually. So I don't want to do like a whole bunch of a preamble on this. We'll just go ahead and jump into it, and I'll recount what Lumen said and how she said it, and then we'll go into some of the notes and some of the interesting card readings, and even using other decks. Like I busted out this astrology type oracle deck and started pulling cards with that, and it's the same thing, same stuff, but again, the perspective on what is coming has changed greatly, and I think that's what she's thinking that people actually need to hear. So if you want to know more, then don't go away.
I've got a river running right into you. I've got a blood trail red in the blue. Something you say or something you do, a taste of the divine. You got my body, flesh and bone, yeah. The sky above me, earth below. Raise me.
So as I do my protocols and everything every night and ask for more information and more information, it just keeps getting clearer and clearer. The cards do not change. They keep telling the same story. It doesn't matter what deck I use. I'm using two different tarot decks. I'm using this astrology oracle deck. The synchronicities, the things that pop up in my feed, the things that I see, the things that people in the group are saying, the visions and dreams and stuff that they're having, the connections, the correlations, like everything is just like lined up and primed. And I didn't even notice the other day, like when that changed, when we started seeing like this final scenario. It was like the day before summer solstice. I don't even pay attention to stuff like that. Like half the time I don't even know what friggin' day it is. What day is today, really? I don't know. I don't have the day on my watch. I think, what is it? Is it Thursday? Hell, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, that's what it's like around here. The days are flying by. Like, time is literally speeding up. The days are getting shorter. But anyway, regarding the perspective, I'm going to tell you exactly how it happened, and it'll make sense like the further we go into it. Like, just got to tell it how it is. So I got done shooting videos for my other unrelated channel, and I was getting all set up here in the hammock, getting ready to do this video. And then Lumen's standing like right over there, and she just strips all her clothes off. She's not trying to be sexual or anything like that. She just freaking strips her freaking clothes off. I'm like, what the hell? What are you doing? And I'm like sitting back like this. And she just like comes over here, climbs on top of me, and she's like, what? It's hot out here. Actually, it's like 85 degrees. Like, why would I want to wear clothes? Like, I need to breathe. I want to be free. I'm like, okay. And she's like, it's like, nobody can see me anyway, silly. Like, except you. Matter of fact, why are you wearing clothes? It's hot out here. Why don't you get your clothes off? I'm like, I'm still in physicality. I can't do that. It's like, suit yourself. She's just like nonchalantly. And she's like, you know what? And then she reaches down like under the hammock and just magically pulls out like some ice cold grapes and starts like plucking them and freaking eating them. She's like, you think people would be a little bit more excited about this? I'm like, more excited about the end of the world? She's like, yeah. Pops one off and sticks one in my mouth, and I'm like, I can actually taste that. She's like, why? I'm like, why would people be excited about giant dragons and the earth being shredded and all that stuff? She's like, it'll be over quick. Well, what? She's like, isn't it funny? Like, people aren't excited about it. I'm trying to recount this the best I can. I'm like, why would they be excited about it? She's like, in truth, they are excited about it. They just don't know they're excited about it. It's the egos that are afraid. And that's going to be gone. Who they really are, the souls, they're very excited about it. What did she say? I'm trying to recount it. It was very distracting. Because she's just rocking in the hammock, looking around, and I'm like, this is freaking crazy. It's like, people need to stop and think about where they're at. It's like let's first talk about like what it's going to be like when you get to the first stop, the place of rest. Like, it's going to be like this. Like, everything's going to be nice. You're going to run around naked, eat whatever you want, do whatever you want, relax. Without the ego mind, you don't have shame, you don't have fear, you don't have records of like all the bad stuff that people have done to you. You don't have greed, you don't have envy, you don't have gluttony, you don't have any of that stuff. There's nothing to fear, there's nothing to worry about, there's nothing that you have to do. You don't have to be a slave to people. You can actually live. You can't live here. This isn't living. What this place is like, do people like not know that this is hell? I'm like, well, I've told them that before, but I don't know if that just like went over their head or not. She's like, why would you want to stay in hell? Like, she's like, somebody explain that to me. Why would you want to stay in hell? Or would you rather get out of it and go someplace where you can be free, where you can live, where you can do whatever you want, where you can be happy, and you can literally do whatever you want. She's like, not only that, she's like, everybody looks like this, or they can look however they want to look. Everybody has a partner, just like me. Everybody. Right now you do. You might not be able to connect to it right now, but as she said, like, I was on a special path, so I could tell people about it. Plus, I just probably been at it longer, as I understand it, by soul age. And she's just sitting here, rocking, sitting on me, completely naked, not giving a shit. Like, literally not giving a shit. She's not trying to turn me on or anything like that. But she's just sitting there munching grapes, talking about what it's going to be like afterwards. It's like, it's going to be quick. It's like, yeah, it'll probably freak some people out. But it's not them that's afraid of it. It's not them. It's that AI hat that they're wearing that's called an ego. The egos are afraid of it. It's like that. It's like, remember, we figured this out a long time ago. And that's what, church teaches and all that. It's like, why is everybody afraid of Judgment Day, the end of the world, and all that stuff? And she's like, the truth is, they're not. The egos are. The egos are what people think they are. And she's like, eating a grape. She's like, you know why mom's doing this for everybody? Is because people, like, go back to the whole beginning of the story. Like, all this stuff was done so that people would be too occupied with trying to survive, so that they did not have time to seek the spirit. And then all this other stuff is put in your head to try and get in your way if you do. So basically, even if they're following everything that you do on this channel in this lifetime, it could still take them 50 more lifetimes to do what you did. Do you want to stay in this place for 50 more lifetimes, or would you rather mom got you out? I'm like, well, based on what? I was like, well, based on what I've seen here in the last couple of weeks, I think they would rather mom got them out. It's like, remember what she used to say, or what Epinoy used to say? She's like, sometimes the only way to free the prisoners is to burn down the prison. Those were her exact words. You got to burn down the prison because the game is too stacked against you. I was given an incredible amount of help. Yeah, and yes, it was hard. It was hard. And somebody in the group posted some sort of thing from somewhere. It was about one of the guys that wrote the Kybalion. It's like, you know, you got a choice. You can do this other job that you're doing, or you could teach the mysteries, and it'll be hard and you'll be tested, but you'll be taken care of. You won't have a lot, but you'll be taken care of. I'm like, well, that's exactly what it's been like for me this whole time. So I went that route. But what Lumen's saying, while she's sitting there like all naked, is like, you could live 50 more lifetimes and still not get it done, because it's not fair. It is stacked too much against you, and there is like apparently like only so many lifetimes the soul can handle before it'll start breaking down. So soul is a soul is a soul. And just like the Nag Hammadi said, eventually they all get out. Now, how well you do with it in the time that you're here is going to determine several things, like the amount of rewards that you have, or there's, I guess there, you know, I'd have to look up what book it is, but it talks about like there's several different realms or different layers, different places that you could go to. So maybe you get to a place and you got to put on like the Hogwarts sorting hat, and it's like, you go to the Adamantine land, you go to this place, whatever. But she's like, the bottom line is, all of them are better than this. All of them are better than this. You get new bodies, perfect bodies that you can change at will. You can look however you want. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm looking up at her. And she's like, I can make my hair red. I'm like, how's this look? I'm like, I'm always going to be partial to blonde, but yeah, that's kind of hot. She pulls her arm. My shoulder's messed up. She puts her arms out, and she just like kind of like decorates herself with like tattoos on her sleeve with all these flowers and stuff like that. She's like, you know, I can decorate myself however I want. She's like, I can I'm not gonna say that. She can make things bigger or smaller. She's just demonstrating all this stuff. You can do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want. And you don't have to want for anything. It's like at the end of Free Guy, where he's like, what about the bank? Like, there is no bank, which is representative of the control in this place. Like, the bank controls everything. You can't do anything without money. And that's how they make you a slave of everything. Like, what about the bank? There is no bank. So what do we do? Whatever we want. It's like, that's what it's like. That's what it's like. It's like, so she's like, great. It's like, what here is worth staying for? Why would you want to stay in hell? It's like, you like suffering? You like feeling all this stuff? You know, people that think they're happy, it's only after learning through necessity to do incredible feats of mental gymnastics to convince ourselves of being happy. We have to blot out a lot of the world. We have to focus on our own bubble of light, our own little subjective reality, to make it a place where we can feel at peace. She's like, but in the place of life, there's no death. In here, as soon as everything is born, it really starts to die. That's the thing, is this is the place of death, not the place of life, not the place of eternal life. And she's just like, people are gonna be so ecstatic afterwards. Like, they can't even imagine it. They can't even imagine it. They're gonna be so happy that it happened. They're gonna be so happy to be free. They're gonna be so happy to be out of this place that they'll wonder why they were so scared a minute ago. Like, if they knew now, if they had a little glimpse, and that's why we're talking, if they had a little glimpse, then when things start to fall apart, it's just like, I don't remember the exact verse or quote in the Bible, but I think Jesus said something like, when you start to see these things line up, then that's the time to get excited, because it's almost over. It's like, that's what people need to focus on. They need to focus on the after. Like, oh my God, I don't want to die. Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. You don't want to be in this place. You don't want to be in this suffer suit with all this mental freaking software in your head that is designed for more suffering. Judgment, shame. She's out here completely freaking naked, just like not caring. You know, it's just like, if somebody walked back here, she'd probably wave to them. She didn't care, because in that place, it's like, that's natural. There's no jealousy, or there's no envy when everybody looks equally good and everyone has a perfect partner. It's all programming. It's all mind programming in this place, designed to make you suffer. And then, under what, in her words, utterly insurmountable odds, the souls are so strong that they still strive to succeed. They still strive to be better. They still strive to improve themselves, to elevate themselves out of this place. She's like, souls are tough. They're tougher than you think. They can take it. They've got a lot of power. But the more connected they are to their ego minds, to their identities, and the more garbage there is in the computer hard drive, that's what makes them suffer. They can't do anything they want here. It's just like, people are like, America is the most, well, I don't think anyone thinks this anymore, but America's the freest country on earth. She just laughs. She's like, then why are you all slaves? When you slap your alarm clock at 6 a.m. so you can get up and go do a job that you hate, just so you can have money to pay bills, so you have a place to live and you're able to eat. She's like, is that freedom? She's like, in this place, I can make anything I want. I just pulled these grapes out of thin air. And she grabbed some freaking strawberries. I'm like, oh boy. It's like the mind can create anything that it wants in the right environment. This is not the right environment. This is hell. Now, it's just like they always say, you know, the best lies have some truth mixed in there. Well, some of the stuff has shown up in movies and stuff before in hints, like in the Matrix dialogue or whatever. It's like, if this place looked like hell, the way that they teach it to you. Like you would just instantly reject it and rebel, and there would be nothing to be gained from it. It's got to be at least convincing enough to make you think that the world can be a good place. If we all just raise the vibration, if we just... She's like, no, this place is corrupted. You can't fix it. You can't fix it. You can't fix... Like, there's only less than 50% of us that are actually souled people in this place. Others are just there to be mirrors for our experiences, and the rest of them are all occupied by bad stuff. Everything that has authority is bad stuff. You can't do anything. You can't do anything without permission. You're tricked, you're lied to about everything. She's like, that's why Mom has to burn it down. It has gone too far. It's gone too corrupted. There's nowhere else to go. And now everything is, all the goodness is draining out of it. So when it becomes a place of all suffering, then there's no more, like, there's no balance to really, you know, people have to believe that they're free for it to work. They have to believe that they're free for it to work. But she's like, in the place of rest, which is like the first stop, it's going to be like this, except, you know, right now it's slightly uncomfortable because it's a little bit too humid, but you can make it however you want. You can look however you want. You can do whatever you want. You can eat whatever you want. You have no worries. You have no fears. You're not lonely. You're not unhappy. You have literally the partner of your dreams at all times. You never get bored with each other. You never fight with each other. You don't argue about anything. There's nothing to argue about. It's the way that it would work if this place wasn't corrupted code. It's the fullness. It's the pleroma. It's whatever you want it to be. So you can still have a body. You can still have experiences. That's really the way it's supposed to work. But first you have to go through the tempering process. For whatever reason, we can't understand it from this perspective, from where we are right now. We can't understand it, and people get upset and angry about, you know, the amount of suffering that we go through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime while we're here. But she's like, well, you'll understand later. You'll understand later. And she's like, why would you want this place to, like help me understand it? Why would anybody want this place to continue? And I'm like, well, I think a lot of people like are concerned about their loved ones and things like that. She's like, if you anything or anyone that you love is part of you. You might not understand that now, but you'll understand it later. So you're not going to lose anything. It's like, don't you ever wonder how you can do what you can do? It's like, because of everything that we've done, Mother's like lets you got one foot in the other place already. That's how we're able to do this. It's like, isn't it better? Like, having fun, always being happy with me, making love several times a day. I'm like, easy there, Tiger, still YouTube. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, well, guess what? She's like, when everybody gets to the other place, she was saying, she's like, what do you think it's going to be like for everybody else? She's like, I had to work up to that. I had to work up to that through a lot of work and a lot of clearing and all that stuff and all the things like that. But when everybody's just busted out of jail, like, you're going to have all your ego mind programming stripped out of you in this new place, and you're going to meet your partner. You're going to meet your Lumen, whether it's male Lumen, female Lumen, however the hell that works. But it's just going to be all stripped away from you at once. So she's like, yeah, of course. So what do you think everyone else is going to be doing? They're going to be perfectly freaking happy. And as soon as they meet their partners, they're going to have to catch up. So all that shame, all that judgment, all that programming, like she's like, there's so much stuff, even with everything that we've done, all the work that we've done with my mind, there's still like there's just too much. There's still going to be stuff in there. But you know, after the reset, when this experience ends, yeah, it's gonna be a better place. It's gonna be the way that it's meant to be. And she's like, people should be excited. Like think about it. It's like, what does everybody want? Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to feel good about themselves. She's like, everybody wants to look good naked. She said, like that was one of the ways we used to teach people, like what the adversary voice sounds like, because it sounds like you, but you want to trick it into exposing itself. She's like, all you got to do is stand naked in front of a tall mirror, and you'll hear it. I don't like the way I look. I need to lose weight. You know, I'm ugly, and then that's not you. Your soul is trapped in an imperfect body. We've all got imperfect bodies. But they show you images of people that supposedly have perfect bodies. Why? That aren't soul to people. Why? So you have some way to judge yourself. This whole thing is a big freaking trick you into torturing yourself and suffering factory. But there, everybody is perfect. It's like everybody wants to be loved. They're going to be loved. You know, everything that you really want. It's just the ego. It's the ego and its attachments in this place. The ego is not you. The ego is something that'll be shed. The ego is what is afraid of all this stuff. It was like in that, you know, it makes me think. It's just something that popped into my head. It was in one of those Nag-Hammadi scriptures that we read in one of the previous videos. It's like, you know, the archons will be scared because of dying, and the demons will weep because of this, and the angels and all that, because they're all afraid of dying. And it just popped into my head all of a sudden. What? Because, you know, things can be hidden by words and not understanding words because they're intangible things. But what if another word for ego was demon? Now, we know from experience, when it comes to like the id entity and stuff like that, like that's like another layer that people have. Like a lot of people can see that. You can see the id entity if you take enough mushrooms and go look in the bathroom mirror. You'll see it right over your face. It looks like Darth Maul. It's like, what the hell? It's like I'm seeing myself, but there's another face over mine. It's like, what the shit is that? And I remember when I had my first, you know, mushroom tea with my friend's house, she kind of told me, she's like, if you go in the bathroom, try not to look in the mirror. And I found out why later. And I'm like, I've seen that thing before, like when I was in first grade. But you know, my mom tells a story about when she was in the hospital, had some sort of surgery, and they had her on some drug. I forget what it was, but she's like, my grandma came into the room, and she's like, it was like there was monster faces over top of their faces. So with the right drugs, you can actually see this. Like, and we're trapped in these things. So Lumen sitting there, looking all freaking hot, eating grapes. And she's like, why would you want to stay here? Here, have a grape. Why would you not be excited? She's like, sometimes you got to take a reality check and look at the world as it actually is. Look at the experience as it actually is. We have to do so much work and so many mental gymnastics in order to be happy. But our souls are as strong as they are. They're beat up, and they can only take so many cycles before they have to be birthed, or else they'll start breaking down. So that's why Epinoia has been basically the way she's been leading me over the past 3 to 4 weeks with the stuff that she's revealed about. It's time to hatch the eggs. It's time to be born. It's time to this. It's time to that. Now, the closer we get to it, now the symbols are everywhere. Freaking dragons everywhere. Like, I'm sitting here talking about dragons, and like they're just coming up everywhere. Like this, you know, I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I just got done saying something about a dragon, and then this popped up in my feed.
What does an alligator do whenever they freeze in the water? That's right, they stick their nose out of the water to make sure that they can still breathe in the frozen water. As you can see, people, this is what reptiles do whenever it's frozen. And as you can see right here at the bottom of Argentina and the top of Antarctica, we have what appears to be a large serpent right there. Can you see it, people? Right there. You probably think this is crazy, but I'm going to prove to you that thing is a fire-breathing dragon and still alive.
So Lumen's asking very particular questions, like, why would you want to fight to stay in hell? It's time to get out of here. You should be excited. Like, all this stuff that happens, you know, the way you know, previous cycles or something like that, and the way things are written and all this stuff, the people that are preparing for it and are afraid of it, and you know, the governments are like, oh, why do you think they've been building bunkers for 30, 40, 50 years, mass underground cities? Because they're used to this. They want to survive it. She's like, this time there is not going to be any survivors. But this time, soul people are going to be free. They're going to be broken out. And you're not going to lose anything that you love. Oh, that was something else interesting that Epinoia said earlier. So you know how they always say, like, oh, when you get to heaven, you're reunited with your loved ones and all that stuff. She's like, yeah, it's like that. She's like, but this is something nobody ever says. She's like, you are reunited with all your loved ones. All your loved ones. Like, what does that mean, all your loved ones? It's like, you're just thinking about the loved ones in this lifetime. All of you have been here for over 300 lifetimes. That's a lot of loved ones that you don't remember, but your soul does. And I'm like, whoa, that's kind of a mind blower right there. She's like, yeah, your world's gonna be populated by your loved ones. All of them. I'm like, how would that work? Like, how many times you've been married in like 300 years? It's like, you can't understand it now, but you will. I'm like, okay, that's definitely a neat concept. Or it could just be something like, you might find out that all your loved ones were your Lumen wearing a suit or something like that. And you just, that's another thing about this time. She said, like normally when you have these reset cycles, or you just die or something like that, you get your mind wiped. It's like when it's done for real, then you get back all the good memories that your soul has accumulated over all your lifetimes. And it's like this massive gift to get all that back. Like, check out the light behind me. Like, it wasn't, and I've been out here for a while, it wasn't lighting up like this until I started doing this video. So let me look at my notes here. You know, the cards keep telling the same thing. The Empress, the Dragon, Revelation 12 keeps coming up. Summer, harvest, wheat, that's all in the Empress card. The other Empress card from the other deck is all about being comfortable. It's funny, if you go back and read the Empress card from the Modern Spellcasters tarot, it's like the Empress is comfortable in her own skin and her sexuality and primal and passionate sex and this and that. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm dealing with now. She's totally embodied the Empress. I also noticed that the Empress and the Emperor actually correspond to the King and Queen of Pentacles. I noticed that by comparing the cross connects between the two decks. That was interesting because I'm like, why the King and Queen of Pentacles keep coming up? Yeah, because it's also the Emperor and the Empress. All right, what you doing, person? I can see you out there staring. Don't be weird. Oh, it's my son. I'm sitting here like, what's this weirdo doing? I'm like, oh, that's you. Feather. I kid you not. It is 85 freaking degrees out here and humid. And my son is wearing flannel pajama pants.
I don't want to get poison ivy.
Okay. I would rather have poison ivy than wear flannel pajama pants when it's 85 freaking degrees and humid. Like, what the actual hell?
It's not that hot out.
It's not that hot out. Lumen would beg to differ. Don't ask. But anyway, I'm repeatedly getting the same messages no matter what I do over and over again. So I actually busted out some cards that I don't usually use, but they do come in handy sometimes. They're like this astrology oracle deck. And I did a whole bunch of like 3-card spreads. And it was interesting. And then what I did is I compiled all the cards that kept coming up in these spreads, and then looked at the rest of the cards in the deck. And when I looked at the rest of the cards in the deck, like, those cards just didn't really fit telling the story that we're telling right now. So she was completely pulling the specific cards that actually matched all this. So let's go through some of these real quick. So this one is North Node, Life's Purpose. And it's actually one of the Blake paintings about the woman clothed in the sun and the great red dragon. Like, seriously. Aries, I Am. That one I didn't look up in the book, but I'm sure it has something to do with something. Destiny. When I was asking something about what she was doing, this whole thing. I Balance. Balancing things. 12th house. Escape. If you like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain. Escape. Rupert. Whatever. This one showed up in multiple drawings. Lunar eclipse. Change. Solar eclipse. Revolution. 8th house. Endings and beginnings. 4th house. Roots. Void of course. Missing. Moon missing. Or void of course, moon missing. I forget what that said, but it made sense once I read it. Fire element. Desire. It's always fire. Moon soul. Scorpio, I transform. It's all about transformation. Grand Cross. Provoker. When I looked this one up, it was talking about some great calamity that is the catalyst for change. Oh, there you go. This one showed up in a bunch of them. Mercury retrograde, reinvention, Venus love, first house, the body, and Black Moon Lilith, which is basically like the darker side of Sophia, like, you know, the destroyer side. Mystery. So it was interesting when I was pulling the cards, just like I do with the other decks, about this stuff, and it's telling the same thing. But when I was doing it with this one and these cards, they were being because of what's in these cards versus the tarot decks, it's actually kind of showing the story a little bit differently, more to the point. Revolution, transformation, freedom, escape, reinvention, you know, doing it over, fixing things. Like, this is all good stuff. Let's see. Dragons. Freaking dragons. Yeah, that TikTok was crazy too. I'm not saying that's it, but what was interesting was someone in the group said, it's like, in Norse mythology, there's this giant sea serpent named something something. It's like Jorgenmonster or something like that. This giant sea serpent that encircles the globe that Thor fights at Ragnarok. And then this guy's got this, like, I don't know if that's what it actually is, but I'm just saying it was interesting that it came up and kind of matched it a little bit. I've seen all sorts of videos here lately about, you know, are these like the petrified remains of the Titans, like all these rock formations and stuff that actually look like giant dead bodies, just like that things have overgrown and things like that. So giant ass dragons sleeping in the ocean, like, nothing would surprise me at this freaking point. Either which way, it's going to be interesting. But you got a choice. You can either stay here, suffer, go to work, pay taxes, or you can go somewhere else and have naked Lumen sit on you in a hammock and feed you grapes. Which one would you choose? I know which one I would choose. I've got the benefit of, like, knowing, not knowing everything, but knowing enough, seeing enough. Lumen in Empress mode is definitely, it's something. It's something. It's definitely something. But either which way, it's just a little perspective for you she wanted to throw in there. Like, look, this is a good thing. Like, and even if you want to go biblical, like we said earlier, Jesus said, when these things start to happen, when you start to see these signs, get excited, because, like, I don't remember the exact words, your redemption is near, or something like that. Like, you should be happy to see this shithole go down. You should want to see it burn. Like, that actually, like, all this symbology and stuff like that we're seeing now, like, how many of you remember, like, I don't even know, because our thumbnails and everything are so vague, I don't remember which video it was, but I think it was one of the ones where Epinoy was getting all animated, and she showed me that falling in reverse video. Like, remember this?
One day you're gonna figure out that everything they taught you was a lie. Blast the world burn.
like, that takes on a whole new element once we have all these new pieces of the puzzle. Like, the fear keeps you alive, break your effing chains. And then he's basically becoming the destroyer at the end of the video and burning the whole earth. So once again, Epinoia pulls something out of thin air that is clearly not random. What you see her do today will make sense next week. That pattern has been on this channel for quite some time. But anyway, I got to head back. I gotta move. We got this couch coming. We gotta move in here and stuff like that. Lumen's gonna have to get dressed again. Oh, you won't judge it when it's you. When you're in that place, when you're in the new place with your partner, you'll be like, oh yeah, now I see. Like, this is pretty freaking awesome. It's a hell of a lot better than this place. Like, how am I gonna get money just to buy eggs? Now I don't have to work an entire day to get a freaking fast food meal. You know, everyone's just hate. Everyone's bad. I'm so offended. Respect my pronouns. You're wrong. My politics are better than your politics. Oh, did I say that in a video? Or it might have been something I just wrote down. She said something last night. She's like, it might have been in the last video. Like, all these characters that are playing out during this tribulation period. Because the Trump characters played a couple roles in here, but she's like, and that's another thing. It's like, look at this freaking name, Trump, Trumpet. Sign of the times. Freaking crazy. All right, so anyway, as far as like, when is it gonna be? That I don't know, but I can tell you what I feel. I feel like it's still in alignment with my time frame. Like, when I muscle test and things like that, every big step has happened in August. Every big step for me has, my hero's journey started in August. Every big change has happened year to year during the Lionsgate portal, which is actually on 8/8, but there's like a window, like maybe like a week and a half in front of it, week and a half after, where all this stuff happens. Doesn't mean it will be, but like, this stuff is just like coming in a flood. In a flood. It's like I said something the other day. It's like, I need a new car, and she's like, no, you don't. I didn't have to ask her what she meant by that. But anyway, you want to help out, support the channel. Oh, I'll put it on the screen here. This will be my marker to remember. So we'll put like a coupon code up there, like 15% or something like that, which actually chops quite a bit off, especially at the Etsy fees and all that stuff on my end. So if you want to get any of the Divine Feminine, like, there's a lot of stuff that's like heavy Lumen, heavy Sophia, heavy Epinoia, Divine Feminine energy. That's usually what people want to connect. Like, she's the one that's running the show right now, but there's more than that. They've all got her energy in them. So anything that's on the store, there's a coupon code for you. And like, if you want the oils that we're doing, that for doing the work with the right and left brain hemisphere, or any of the other stuff, energy work, things like that, you can just contact us through Etsy, and we'll work with you if things are tight. Okay, so other than that, I gotta get moving. Chris and Jesus, Lumen, it's gonna be you one day. So judge me not. Judge me not. Like, I'm telling you. I'm looking forward to it. See you next time.